and they clamor for these, contestants like yourself to be on their team. So, uh, what was that whole experience like? Just being on the show, being part of Alicia's team, just from start to finish. What was it? What? How did it feel?
Well, from start to finish, honestly, going into it, the first audition that I ever did pertaining to The Voice was a cattle call audition, which is, they call it cattle call. You stand in a huge line in
Hmm.
whatever city you choose to go to, and but it's like cattle. I mean, it's literally, there were 40,000 people alone that just auditioned for this season. And so it was so crazy. Me and my mom actually went to Nashville, and we got in line outside of the Music City Center. And this line was so long, it like wrapped around itself. And it was crazy. We were in the very back, and we got in line at like 6:45 in the morning, and we didn't get indoors until like 2 p.m. And so that was like the first audition process that I had been through for The Voice. And then it led to a callback in Nashville and a callback in Philadelphia. And then finally I had an executive callback in Los Angeles for about 3 days back in July of last year. And then they flew us back out in, I think it was it was like September, because we shot blinds in October. And so it was really crazy. It's a very lengthy process. I think it's a lot longer than people realize. You know, you don't just jump up there and you're just immediately into the blind auditions. There are like several stages of auditions before you necessarily get the chance to have a blind audition. But as far as being on TV and actually being a part of the show, it was so cool just to be in front of like cameras and people, you know, fixing your hair and doing your makeup and dressing you. Wardrobe was my favorite thing ever. And just being a part of it all it was a little, you know, like overwhelming, but in a good way. I didn't feel overwhelmed like negatively, like, oh, I can't handle it. I was like so overwhelmed with just like joy just to be in an environment where I was surrounded with people with like passion. And it's something really special to be a part of, just because, you know, everybody's there for the same thing and everybody's equal competition, and nobody really treats it like a competition, which is a great thing about The Voice. Is I made so many friends and just connections, and I've taken trips with some of my friends that I've made on The Voice. You know, those are relationships that I could not have gotten anywhere else with people from all over the country. And so that's, of course, something that I'm going to forever be grateful for. But before the blind auditions, literally, I'm going to be honest with you, I completely acted a fool. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. Like as far as right before going on stage, I was freaking out. And there is a vocal coach that works on the show, and she's very, very kind, and she just kind of grabbed me, I remember, before I went on stage, and she was like, you are ready. And she just had to kind of reassure me and talk me down a little bit before I knew I was able to go on there. And I kind of was freaking out so bad that she was even like, do you need to say a prayer or something? And I was like, you know, yes, ma'am, I think that would be really helpful. And she kind of grabbed my hand and let me say a quick prayer, and my nerves just kind of left. And I cannot even honestly tell you that I remember singing my blind audition song. As crazy as that sounds, I could have been singing Wheels on the Bus for all I know. I really, I'm glad I wasn't singing Wheels on the Bus, but I very well could have been, as stressed out as I was. And I thought to myself, you know, I'm going to keep my eyes closed. I'm not going to look at the judges because I don't want to get, you know, freaked out if they turn or if they don't turn. And I'm just going to close my eyes and look to the audience and, you know, just do my thing. And it was really crazy when I finally opened my eyes and saw that, you know, 3 of them were turned around. And in the middle of the song, I kind of, you know, I peeked, you know, just accidentally. And I saw that Blake and Kelly were looking at me, and then I made the really dumb decision to look over at where my family was standing, and they just looked like little jumping beans. They were just jumping around everywhere, and I could see their shadows, and I almost started laughing in the middle of my audition, but I had to quickly turn back around, and then I saw Alicia was turned around as well, and then I was like, you know, just finish the song. Like, that's what's really important right now. Just finish the song, please. And so it was really cool to get to talk to them afterwards, especially. And I think that a lot of people don't realize it, but people at home see about 2 or 3 minutes of us getting to stand up there and actually talk to the judges, and for them to kind of coax us into being on their teams. But we're actually up there for a pretty good chunk of time. We're up there for, I'd say, about 25 minutes, each of us individually, and so we get to kind of really talk to them, and they get to really talk to us about what their vision is. It's not as rushed as TV makes it seem, so that's very good, and it's very calming that you just kind of get to get used to talking to them first before they're necessarily going to put all your nerves on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody at NBC is just very, very, I would say that NBC is probably one of the best affiliates to work with. Of course, I've never worked with any other ones, but I don't know that it could be beat. Everyone that we came in contact with was absolutely amazing, and it was just a really, really good experience, especially as an artist and as a growing artist. It was something that, I could not ever find anywhere here.
Girl, you went through a lot, apparently. But you came through, and that the beauty of a coach is to give you that pep talk, or at least something to just get you excited, get you prepared and everything. And you got three chairs to turn, and I was like, yes, this woman's going to be on TV for a bit, and you made it far. And anytime that I've been in Kentucky, and I'm not born here, but I've lived here like most of my life. And anytime someone from my neck of the woods goes on TV and shine like that, that's saying something. Like, you can do anything you set your mind to, and you made a lot of Kentuckians proud. I'm very sure you made your family very proud that whole time that you've been on the show. And I love that's one of my favorite TV shows right now. Like the blind auditions, Blake and Adam joking each other back and forth. I mean, it's just some must-see TV, and good for you just being on the show, having that experience, made a lot of friends along the way, and you still doing shows here and there. And I was at the Georgetown show, and that was the first time that we actually met. And,
Yes.
I just slide on in. Shout out to Paulie.
Shout out to Polly, of course. That's our main man. I couldn't do any of these shows without him.
Paulie, he's quite a character, ain't he? He's quite the character.
He really is. Yes. Me and Polly, that's like, I don't know, we're like brother and sister now. We joke around with each other. We have a really good time at all of our shows. I'm so happy he's going to be attending some of my upcoming shows too with me.
So let's talk about these upcoming shows. I know you got one coming up late September in your neck of the woods in Stanton. Go ahead and promote your upcoming shows. Where can people check you out at?
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for everything you just said, by the way. That really means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And my soonest one coming up is going to be at Red Fest. It's supposed to be pretty big, I think. They're expecting a big, I don't know, they have a lot of amazing talent on this lineup. I've been looking at it and, looking these people up. I know that they have someone from American Idol coming and people from a really popular band coming, and so it's going to be really exciting, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. But it will be September 22nd up at Callie's Campground in Stanton, Kentucky. And then I have another show on October 6th that we just booked. It's called the Pumpkin Fest, and it will also be in Stanton. That's just my neck of the woods. I know a lot of people live different places, but if you're around those areas, those two will be really cool to check out. And actually on August 30th, I will be attending the Thursday's Child banquet as a celebrity guest. They asked me to come, and I'm so honored to be a part of that on Thursday.
So definitely go check out those shows. support local music, support your local artists. And now, as far as music, as far as original music, could we expect any sorts of new music for you before the end of the year, per se?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been writing my heart out. I love to write, and it's always kind of been a passion of mine. And, you know, up until The Voice, I didn't really do any shows at home. And so it was really crazy that afterwards I came home and I was like, oh, like, this is what it's like to, be a musician and have, like, shows to do and songs to write. And so it's just really been my drive and my passion here lately, and I've really been writing a lot. So, yeah, hopefully by the end of the year I'll have something up on iTunes and maybe even a music video up for people.
So, as far as the type of music that you have been recording, that you've been working on, what type of music that you leaning towards? Or do you consider yourself a pop singer, country singer? What type of genre are you leaning towards musically?
Probably more pop or like indie pop. That's usually, where my genre lies. That's usually what I enjoy singing the most. But, every so often I do like singing some country too. So, but as far as my writing goes, definitely I think pop would be the genre that I fall in.
So who do you consider your musical influences, those that you looked up to as a singer yourself?
I really, really enjoy oldies. I think that just music from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, I think that's just, good for the soul kind of music. And that's the kind of music I like to listen to. I like, the Temptations and some Ray Charles, and like that's usually the kind of stuff I listen to. Peggy Lee and Ricky Lee Jones, like those are the people that have my heart, like as far as who I listen to and who my music influences come from. But as far as modern artists, I also enjoy, stuff on the radio nowadays and like pop stuff. I'm really all over the place as far as what genres I kind of listen to, but yeah, as far as musical influences, I would say that the oldies really have my heart and my soul.
Speaking of oldies, speaking of soul, the music world did lose a legend recently.
Yes, Aretha. Oh, it broke my heart.
That was like our parents' soundtrack back in their adult days when they were our age per se.
Yes.
And then they lean it to us, to their children, and be like, hey, this is what music used to sound like. Listen, learn it, love it. I love Aretha Franklin. She's just a musical treasure.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And she's and not only that, she's an activist, stood up for equal rights and things like that. So she was more than just an artist. She's a soundtrack for women, and
yes, absolutely.
She a lot of classic songs. Respect, obviously the popular one. What are some of your favorite Aretha songs or songs?
I loved "I'll Say a Little Prayer for You." Oh. I love "Say a Little Prayer." When I was little, my first vocal coach, which was a young girl from here, she used to listen to that a lot. I think she used to sing it at some of our recitals. And so I always loved it when she sang that, and it really got me hooked on that song. I used to listen to it all the time.
So as far as social media-wise, where can people go to, keep in contact with you of what you have going on? Go ahead and promote your social media links.
Absolutely. So you can find me. It's all the same on every account on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. My handle is Livia Faith Music.
Livia Faith on the show. Great chatting with you. Great to actually meet you. And, about that Red Fest, I don't usually travel that far per se, but from Lexington to Stanton, that's not that long of a drive per se.
That's not too bad.
I don't want to make any promises, but I think I'm going to attempt to slide on in, and
me and Paul would love to see you there. So come on out and see us if you get a chance.
Paulie and I, we cool. He's always someone to chat with, guarantees to make you laugh. So,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try. I'm usually Lexington, Richmond, Frankfort, the Central Kentucky per se, but Stanton, it's not that far. I'm gonna try.
Thank you so much. We hope to see you there.
So, great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time. Great to chat with you, and continue success, and have fun at your upcoming shows, and I'll be keeping an eye on that new original music from you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.